Cooking with Connie. We've been on a short little break for a vacation, so we are back and we are in the kitchen. So I had a request for a chocolate zucchini cake, and that's what we're going to be whipping up today. So as you can see right here, I've got my zucchini, and I'm just using a simple hand grater to grate it to go in this. So this is a really simple process. I've already grated some up. Now you can use a fancier grater if you want to. The other thing you can easily do if you have an overabundance of zucchini, most recipe calls for about 2 cups of the zucchini, so you can just grate your zucchini up and put it in 2-cup packages and freeze it, and then you'll have zucchini, and you can make zucchini stuff all year long. So we'll get that kind of grated up there. Now I'm going to be making a half batch of this, so the recipe that you're going to find in the comment sections will be the full batch, 9 by 13. So what I'm going to do is just make an 8 by 8 because I don't like to have an overabundance of this kind of stuff around my house, because then I feel like I need to eat it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we'll get started. So we're going to start with some of the dry ingredients, putting them in our mixing bowl. And this is our Connie's baking mix. Remember that recipe there with our almond flour, coconut flour, tapioca starch, and arrowroot, all blended together. And if you're local and you need to get some of it, you can go out to the Bargain Center in Montgomery, and they already have it mixed up, and it says Connie's baking mix on it. You can find it there. So we got a cup of that. We're going to put a cup of our Lancaudo monk fruit allulose. That's going to be our sugar substitute. And I will tell you, with this recipe, all I did was took a traditional chocolate zucchini cake and I converted it into a sugar-free recipe. So we've got our chocolate that we're going to use in here, and you can use whatever you want. This is just a really good quality. I think if you're going to do chocolate, a good quality chocolate is good. We got this recipe calls for baking soda and baking powder. So and it calls for a little bit of cinnamon, so that'll give it just a little bit different flavor. Got our Celtic sea salt. It calls for a half a teaspoon, but I am just going to put just a little pinch in because it has a lot more flavor than your traditional salt, so you don't want to get it too salty. We're going to use 3/4 of a cup. I'm using avocado oil today because I like to use avocado oil when I'm doing something like this, because there's not really a flavor it's going to give it. If you used olive oil in this recipe, you might get just a little bit of a different flavor because that olive oil has a little bit more flavor to it. We got 2 eggs. Go ahead and start blending some of this together slowly. And then we're going to use 1.5 cups of our zucchini here. Now, if your zucchini seems to have a lot of water, you can just easily just kind of push it and get some of the excess water out of it. This one doesn't seem to be too bad. Just a little bit more while that's mixing. Zucchini is great to add moisture to cakes or breads or whatever, so you usually get a really moist product when you're mixing the zucchini in there. our 8x8 pan here. Oh, there's my coconut oil spray. I'm gonna use my coconut oil spray to spritz that. That way it'll come out easy. Get that going. Alright, so now I've taken that off there. I've kind of got my spatula and I've got to make sure everything is kind of stirred in there good. We're going to throw in some walnuts. Now, that's just totally up to you. This says to use 3/4 of a cup, but I think that it doesn't. More is better when it comes to nuts. I don't chop them. I just kind of hand break them whenever I put my walnuts in or whatever nuts I'm using. But if you wanted to get technical and you wanted them smaller, you could chop them. The other thing you could do with this, if you wanted to add some of the Chalk Zero sugar-free chocolate chips or peanut butter chips to it, that could give you a different version of this chocolate cake. So, you know, our imaginations will allow us to create all kinds of great things. So use your imagination, kind of experiment a little bit. Don't get wild because you might end up with a disaster. But it's good to kind of mix it up a little bit and see what you can do. All right, so this is going to be put into our 8x8 pan. But like I said, the recipe you're going to get is going to be for a 9x13. I just halved it so we didn't end up with a huge cake. That I will tell you that when I experimented with this cake, I took this down to my parents' house for our Sunday dinner, and I got a thumbs up from my brother-in-law's on this one. So, and of course my dad likes anything chocolate, so he's going to thumbs up a chocolate cake. But they both thought it was really good. You're going to find a really moist cake. We're going to make a chocolate cream cheese frosting with this, which is really good. All right, so this is what our finished thing before we put it in the oven is. And we're going to bake this, I'm going to put it in there for about 35 minutes and then we'll check it to see if it's done. Okay? See you in a little bit. All right, welcome back. Here's our finished cake, and we're going to start whipping up a chocolate cream cheese frosting. So in my mixer here, I've got 6 ounces of cream cheese and 6 tablespoons of butter. This is a half a recipe, like I said, because that's what we're doing with this. So you'll have the recipe that'll have the full for the 9x13. So we're going to get that whipped up. Now we're going to add in some of our powdered sweetener. So this is the Impact brand. This is a confectioner sugar. So it'll act just like your powdered sugar does. And we're going to use about 1 3/4 cups of this. I should have cut that open beforehand. There we go. And this again is the Monkford allulose, which is kind of what I've switched over to, and that is a very natural sugar substitute. It doesn't have the calories and the carbs in it. All right, so we've got that in there. We'll start whipping that a little bit. Then we're going to add the chocolate after we get that kind of whipped in there. We've got some of our pure vanilla that we're going to add to it. So put 1/2 teaspoon of that in there. And we're going to also add our cocoa to it, and so I'm going to put 1/3 cup of it in it. I'm going to stop this while I do that so that I don't end up with chocolate all over the place. All right, so we've got the cocoa I've just mixed in there. You can tell the chocolate. So just so you know, you're getting this recipe because of Tracy Pride. He's the one that asked for it. So Tracy, here is your chocolate zucchini cake recipe. We're going to add a little bit of, I'm going to use heavy. You could also add milk, so this will give it a little bit better consistency. So I'm going to start off with a teaspoon or tablespoon of it, and then kind of see how it does, and we'll add accordingly. You want to get it to where it's pretty creamy, but not runny. So. I'm going to add just another tablespoon of that heavy whipping cream in there to give it just a little bit better consistency. Oh, and then a little bit of salt, just a pinch. Okay, look and see where we're at here. So yeah, you got a pretty creamy consistency with your. So you want something that's spreadable but not runny. So this should be pretty good as far as the consistency of that. So we're going to go ahead and we'll ice the cake, and then we'll come back with a cut finished product so you can see what it all looks like. Okay guys, here we are with our finished product. We've got our chocolate zucchini cake that's gluten-free, sugar-free with a cream cheese chocolate frosting that's also sugar-free and gluten-free. But it's not going to be lacking for the taste. So if you like chocolate, here's your recipe. And Tracy Pride, here's your cake recipe. So hope you all enjoy it. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and this week, make good choices.